And welcome back to Reading Roundup. I'm your host, Dash. I got my co-host, Amber and Dana with me. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
How is everyone doing?
Tired.
Yeah. But I haven't been digging up my backyard, so there's that.
Oh yes, I don't have plumbing problems.
Yeah.
I do have a
Yeah,
6-year-old granddaughter in the house, but
that will tire you out. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we got that fixed yesterday thanks to the collective. We had fires all this weekend for the most part. Over 130 fires. 130 fires broke out.
it's very dry.
Even one right over here. Right. I mean,
Mhm.
like really outside my window there, we had one that they caught just in time. But
Wow.
What was causing them? Like
as David Payne,
thrown out of windows, or
yeah. There was no bad weather, so it was either the only way they could start is man-made. So matches, cigarette butts, or yeah. So
Ugh.
yeah, most of they were showing pictures of people flicking cigarette butts out all day long. So
So tacky.
right out the window.
Stop.
Right. And
Very
so
tacky.
avoidable. Like there's an easy solution for this.
And there's a reason why if they catch you, you are going to be, criminally charged because don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
Right.
It's that easy, friends.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so we got that to look forward to tomorrow as well. Tomorrow and Tuesday is our big days, and then it kind of calms down. But more fires. No, just dry weather and very high fire days because of the drought and the dryness. So hopefully nobody flicks cigarette butts out. But there's a lot of people going around and moving their cedar trees now. They're digging up all their cedar trees, and because those are the ones that will go up really quick. Yeah. And between Edmond and Guthrie, that's all we are is cedar trees. So like for 8 or 9 miles, it's nothing but cedar trees.
We don't really get that
pretty,
dry
but
here. We don't really get that dry here. Sometimes later in the summer it will, but a fun fact, Louisiana is the rainiest state in the country. So it's really lush. We're subtropical, and it's super lush for most of the part down here.
Wow.
But there was a massive fire in Shreveport, and it's been the wind that Dash has in Oklahoma, we also have down here. But it was so smoky. Like my kids were sending me pictures of Oklahoma. I would have thought it was California fires. But I swear we got some of that here because it went down to Amarillo, Texas. Yeah. And I swear the winds brought it because yesterday it wasn't super hazy, but you could see it in the sky for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I don't doubt that a bit.
You can see the smoke.
Go ahead, Dash.
Go ahead. I was just saying you can see the smoke in the...
You go.
You can see the smoke and the red dirt. Like literally, that was our Friday was nothing but smoke and red dirt. It was so bad. It reminded me of Iraq. That's how bad it was.
Wow. Yeah. So week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Texas had big dirt storms, and that made it here. Like we walked out the next morning and our cars had splotches of dust and dirt all over them where the dew had settled and it pulled that dust out of the atmosphere. So I'm sure, Amber, you have to make it to you in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Well, do you remember a few years ago the Sahara Desert sand that made it all the way to America? It's just wild how that stuff travels.
It is. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just I don't know, man. Those winds were, you saw the picture of the carport that landed right across, literally 50 feet from our house. Yeah, this is literally right across. It's weird. Yeah. So well, that's enough of the bad weather. Let's talk good stuff. We're here to talk about our February reads. We just did our one shot last weekend. If you guys didn't catch it, go check it out on replay on YouTube. We did our middle middle school March and all of the books that we love from middle school, our chapter books and things like that. But this time it's what we read in the month of February. And I'm gonna go first this time. You guys are always going first. I'll go
Because we're
first to let it
ladies.
off. You are ladies, but I only have 5, and I think you guys got a little bit more than I do. So I will go first to get them out of the way. Plus, I really want to talk about one of the best reads I've had in a while, and that is David Baldacci's Calamity, A Calamity of Souls. Think To Kill a Mockingbird, but amped up to about 100 miles per hour more. You have 2 African American individuals who are now being charged with murder, and you have a small time lawyer who hasn't really lawyered in a long time, and he's white, and then but you get another lawyer who comes down from Chicago, who is another African American black female, and they team up. But of course, he gets our main protagonist, our lawyer. He gets beat up by the townspeople for wanting to defend them, and it starts off slow, but this is one of the best. And I don't want to give it away because this is one of the best court arcs, like in session court, like the lawyers battling back and forth with the judge. It was one of the best well-written court scenes arcs I've ever read. And I love To Kill a Mockingbird. Don't get me wrong, because nothing wrong with Atticus Finch getting up there, discussing, talking and lawyering his way, but we all know what happened with the outcome of that story. But I loved it. And Baldacci's usually more of a mystery type, this is a mystery. He's more of the like special agent, I guess, or mysterious person. I can't recall him writing any law. So this one, just like Grisham, this is just another, in the lines of Grisham. But I really loved it. While it's a long book, it's very fast paced. But once you get to that court scenes, the court, it goes, and you don't want to put it down because you're wanting to find out. And there's twists and turns and ups and downs, and I love it. So Calamity of Souls, David Baldacci, whatever you say his name is. That was probably my favorite read, and I love Memory Man, and those get those set. But this is probably my favorite standalone by him.
Is it kind of along the vein? I know you said To Kill a Mockingbird, but it makes me think of A Time to Kill by John Grisham.
Yeah, more. Because the reason I bring up To Kill a Mockingbird, they talk about it a lot in this book. And I love that they.
Oh, fun!
But yes, A Time to Kill is probably more along the lines with Roark and all of them in there. But yeah, this was a great book. I couldn't put it down once I hit the court scenes. Just thought it was really good. If you've read Relic and things like that, or you're a Pendergrass fan, this is this is kind of a spinoff. It's Nora Kelly. She's been in a few of his books and Pendergrass books, but Nora Kelly is a archaeologist. This one's called Old Bones. Let me uncover Old Bones. This deals with, and I love it. This deals with the Donner Party. If you've never, who the Donner Party is.
Yes.
Yes.
And there is some. They go and find the old past. Well, there's other camps that were involved with the Donner Party, and it takes you into a really cool spin on why that happened, and they're looking for some of the bones, because I don't want to give too much away, because this was again another very fast-paced action adventure mystery, but let's just say that there's some biological stuff going on that really makes it turn out really cool at the end. And Pendergrass does make a nice little cameo at the somewhere in the book, so it's really cool because I love Pendergrass is fantastic.
Have you read any
Almost
of those?
he's
Jada?
almost as cool as
I
Dresden.
have, but it's been a while.
He's cool, Pendergrass.
Like,
I want to read that one.
Pendergrass. He's got to be on at least 30 books. Now, Pendergrass
I've read 3.
has got to be in at least 30, maybe
Just 3.
books by now. Oh, Relic, Relic starts Pendergrass, and that's one of the best still books that I've read ever is Relic. And then next, I've got the last Murder at the End of the World. This is one of those TikTok ones that everybody's talking about. Goodreads is all up on it. It's good. It's dealing with AI though, and there's only one island left, and there's a fog that's killing everybody. A fog has wiped almost everybody out. I don't want to give away too much because I figure you guys will read it probably at some point. It's good. I just some of the AI stuff that they bring into it is just a little overboard, a little over the top for me. But it's still a good read. It's a good, there's just enough there to keep you. I gave it 3 stars. It's just enough to keep you going on. You want to know what happens. I like the theme. I like that the AI and with especially with a lot of the stuff that's coming out now with robots and all that stuff. I just watched a movie on robots yesterday. It was really cool. If you get a chance, it's more that it's got Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt in it. The Electric State or something like that. It's more for young adults. It's on Netflix. It's more young adultish, like your 13 to 18-year-olds. But it was not a bad movie. But The Last Murder at the End of the World, yeah, it's dealing with AI and it's not what you seem or it's not what you think is going on, and you'll see it if you read it. I just thought it was not too bad. It was highly requested on, I think on Goodreads. Everybody was clamoring for it, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't my cup of tea.
I think it's on my. I don't know why it's there.
Yeah, I saw it on your to read list. And then of course I'm doing my Star Wars, all my Star Wars books in a row. Starting from the oldest to as far as timeline goes. Up next is The Lost Tribe of the Sith. It's just a collection of short stories. But everybody thinks that the Sith is all different. They started out as one race prior to other people taking on the Sith name. So this is all about how they became the dark side users before you get to Anakin, before you get to Palpatine, and you get to all those. It's just really cool stories. They started out as web stories or kind of like short ebooks, and so they finally put it into a collection. I thought it was really cool, but they were web stories at first, put them all together. So that's a great collection. Nothing that, if you're not a Star Wars fan, you probably won't like anyways, but Amber,
I like
and my last one. Yeah, it's not bad. It's just, it's really deep into the lore. I mean, it's just really deep into the lore. It just goes deep. And there's a lot of people that don't like to deep dive. They just like the bread and butter of the 9 stories. And then last but not least, if you've ever watched Daredevil on Netflix, then you got the Disney Plus just came out with Daredevil Born Again. Well, I got the actual book, the comic books, the collection of comics that inspired Daredevil Born Again. Nothing like the show. So, but it's by the same guy who did 300. Frank Miller, who wrote 300. He's done a lot of Batman stuff and Dark Knight or Daredevil. This is still one of the ultimate collections of Daredevil for me, because it's not really about Daredevil. It's all about Matt Murdock, his true identity. And it's just a really good Matt Murdock story. Daredevil doesn't play much into it. It's just about his struggles of when his identity gets found out, how he deals with it, and the spiral that he goes into and how he comes out of it. And so I love it. It's just one of the, I finally found it in an actual collection, because getting some of the originals in actual comic book form is very hard and very expensive. Very, very expensive. So,
so fun
yeah.
fact, Eric and I actually love the Netflix Daredevil show. We have only seen, I think, the first 2 seasons. And then there was like a pause, a really long time, and we just haven't come back around or whatever. But I think Daredevil is
there's a
well done, and it's one of my favorite shows that Marvel has come out with. It's excellent, and I really like.
So there, fun fact for you too. Some of the stuff from the Netflix is from this as well. So they took some of the some not the full arcs, but some of the things that happen to Matt are in that. But they're definitely in some of the stuff that happens to Matt is going to be in the Disney one as well. So I've been watching it. So that's mine. I just wanted to get. Like I said, I didn't have very many other than that. I just love it. But we will go with Miss Dana. She's up next.
Okay. So the first one I'll talk about is Checkmate by Stephen James. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the series, the Patrick Bowers series. I love these books, and this is the last one, and I put off reading it for a while because I didn't really want it to end. Amber, they're a little bit gritty. So just
we like I like gritty. So keep going.
They're gritty in the violence can be gritty. There's not a lot of language, and there's not a lot of the other stuff that you're just inappropriate stuff. But there's some violence because Patrick Bowers is an FBI agent. He specializes in environmental investigations. So where does the killer go? What's his normal path? Where does he live in relation to where things are happening, that sort of thing. So that I think is just really fascinating. And he across the series of books, I forget how many there are, but a bunch, like I don't know, 8 or 9, and they all have something to do with chess in the title. So there's like the rook, the pawn, the queen, the knight. This is Checkmate. So this is the last one. There won't be another one in the series. He's written other things too, which I haven't read. But he, across this series, there's lots of different things happening, and Patrick Bowers is trying to solve mysteries and find bad guys. But there's one particular bad guy who is like
just added it to the cart.
Say again.
I just added it to the cart, the first one.
There you go. So anyway, I won't give any details about any of that, but you get to know Patrick Bowers as a character. I really, really love his character. And he, from book 1 all the way through the end, his thing is, yes, people do terrible things, but sort of therefore, but for the grace of God go I. Like the capacity for evil resides in all of us. And it's how you choose to deal with that or not, whether you give into it and embrace it. And he has moments in his career where he has to make decisions about how he's going to react to things that happen when he's face to face with a suspect, and what's he going to do? And none of us would blame him if he did certain things, but is he going to pull back from the edge and still be the good guy, or is he going to kind of cross over and do things that make him just as bad as the guy in front of him, kind of thing? So anyway, I love that exploration, and he does that through all the books, and just a really great character. So highly recommend, and I'm sad it's over. Let's see what else. So I read this book called Ladies of the House, which was a lot of fun, and it was just fun. It's sort of a Sense and Sensibility loose rewrite of Sense and Sensibility. And the family is in Georgetown up near Washington, D.C. Dad is a senator, and he dies. And when he dies, there's a gigantic scandal that comes to life. and he has daughters and a wife, and so they have to move out of their Georgetown home, and they lose friends, and one of the daughters is in politics herself, and so they kind of have to remake their lives, and so it was a fun read. It's not like great book or anything, but it was a fun palate cleanser kind of read. So there's another one I read that I really, really liked a lot. It's called The Housekeeper and the Professor. And it's written by a Japanese author, published in Japanese originally. So if you get your hands on it, it's a translation. I think it was written in 2003. That's when it was published originally, I believe. And then within a year or so here in the States, it was translated, published in English. Anyway, this is a really neat story. It's about a man who suffers a traumatic brain injury in 1975. And he can remember all of his life up to 1975. But since then, he has 80 minutes of short-term memory. So every 80 minutes, his short-term memory resets. So if he met you an hour ago, he'll remember you for like another 20 minutes or so, but then you have to reintroduce yourself. Like he can't, like you meet him today, but tomorrow it's all brand new for him. He's never met you before. So he has some health issues and he needs a housekeeper. And so this Japanese was sent by the housekeeping agency she works for, to be his housekeeper. And every day she has to introduce herself to him. And she has a son. So she has a whole backstory, and she has a son, and the son ends up getting to know this man. He loves baseball, but he's still back in 1975 baseball. He doesn't know the new teams, and the three of them really kind of become family. It's just a lovely, lovely book. Nothing exciting or mind-blowing. It's just a lovely book. So,
it sounds beautiful.
And I found it by accident because there's all these house-made and made books that I keep trying to get my hands on that are, they've got waiting lists.
Trending ones. Yeah.
Yes. And this one popped up and I was like, oh, what is this? Yeah. So anyway, Housekeeper and Professor.
Can you spell like the author's last name? Sorry.
I could if I'd written it down, but I'll send it to you.
Oh, well, did you do a picture?
Hold on.
When we thought we were doing pictures.
I did. Yes, I sure did.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's a Japanese.
Yoko Agawa.
Yeah, what was the name? Who was that?
Yoko is the first name. Yoko. Ogawa. Ogawa.
Yep.
Is her last name.
Yes. Yeah. Just a lovely book.
Oh,
yep.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. This one is not so lovely, but it was riveting, and I couldn't put it down. This one had been highly recommended a while ago. It's been on my to-be-read list for a long time, and I finally got around to it. It's called The Doctor of Aleppo, and it's set like right on the cusp of the Syrian war starting. There's an American woman who's there as a humanitarian aid worker, and she, through a series of events, she ends up meeting a prominent surgeon in Syria. He's Syrian. This is his home country. But he's trying desperately not to get drawn into this war that's about to happen. And it's kind of a difficult book to read. It's not super graphic, but if you know anything about the Syrian civil war, it's just this is a difficult war, and some ugly things happened there. And so it's historical fiction. It's not all true, although it's sort of loosely based on some real people who did live there and kind of went through these experiences. So anyway, I would recommend it, but it is a harder read, not a light read at all. Another one that I found in looking for The Maid.
I like those. I like those kind like.
Go ahead, Dash.
No, yeah, I like those kind of books. So yeah, I'm gonna get that one.
Yeah, I can see you enjoying this one a lot. Yeah. There was another one that I found when I was looking for The Maid and the Housemaid, and this is called The Housemaid's Daughter. Also, a lovely book that I found completely by accident. This one is set in South Africa during the time of apartheid. Nelson Mandela is in prison during the time of this book. There's a woman who has moved from Ireland. Her name is Kathleen. She moved to South Africa to marry her fiance, and they stayed there. He is South African, and she has a maid who's South African, and she lives out in this little sort of hut at the edge of their property. And she comes in and she works in the house during the day, and she has a daughter. And the daughter becomes very close to Kathleen, the woman from Ireland. And after her mother dies, after the maid dies, the daughter moves into that position. And eventually the daughter ends up having, and this, I don't like this term, but this is the historically accurate term, and they use the term in the Bible, in this book. She has a colored child, which means a biracial child in South Africa at that time. And I won't tell you whose child it is, but she has this baby, and then there's all sorts of things that happen. And so it's about, the cultural differences there, what's going on in apartheid. How is this family that she works for going to handle this situation? What are her options? Hint, not many. Yeah. So anyway, it's a lovely book too. I really enjoyed it. So.
That's very helpful because there's a reading challenge I'm doing, and I have to read a book by an African author. So I just looked up the author of that book, and she was born in South Africa. So check.
Yes, she was. And you can tell, Amber, because her descriptions of the landscape are just, you just see it. And I'm not one who sees things very well in my head, but she did a fantastic job of describing the landscape, the towns. It's just lovely. Yeah.
Can we just pause and sidebar here for a second? Dana, you said you're not one. You said that several times, that when you read, you have a hard time. It's like a movie in my head. I've got I can see it all. I had a friend make a comment that she thinks that people like me, who can just see everything, rate books much higher than people like you who cannot see everything. And I think that's true, because if you compared most of our books, Dana, I will always rate ones that we like just a little bit higher than you. Yep. And I wonder if it's because I can see it more in my brain than you can. And I told her, I said, I think you have something and we need to do a study on this.
I could see that totally, because it would be more like a movie, and it would, for one thing, it would make it more memorable.
I think I attach myself to it a little more, maybe, and that's why everything's just so lovely or whatever. But interesting.
Yep, that's very interesting.
Carry on.
Unless it's 1,300 pages or more.
There's a line.
Well, and we can talk about it in the messaging, but I also was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about the stand, and I actually have some issues, and I'm not sure I want to read it. So that, and I was looking it up, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do 1,300 pages on a book that I'm not sure about. So sorry. Carry on.
Well, the last one I want to really, really talk about is a Kate DiCamillo book. This is, one middle grade fiction book I read this time. It's called Ferris. Love this book. Have you read this?
No, but I saw your picture.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Laugh out loud funny on like every fourth page. So funny. So Ferris is a little girl. She's getting ready to go into the 5th grade. It's in the summertime. She has a younger sister named Pinky. I forget exactly how old Pinky is, 5 maybe. And Pinky's goal in life is to be an outlaw. And she gets picked up by the police. The whole family.
I think that's an admirable goal in life.
The whole family has to troop down to the police station.
She's a little girl?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm reading this one.
She's like 5 years old or something. It's hysterical.
I'm reading this one.
And then in addition to this, so they live, Ferris and her family live in the old family home. And the uncle has moved back into the basement because he and his wife have split up. And the uncle is using Ferris, the fourth, fifth grader, as the go-between between himself and his wife to take messages back and forth. His wife runs the town's beauty parlor, and she's sort of the stereotypical small town, beautician kind of person. And poor Ferris, this isn't giving much away at all. Poor Ferris goes in to try to figure out how to get them two of them back together, and she walks out with a perm.
Nice.
So cute.
It is so cute.
Nice.
And
That
she's
sounds so
living
cute.
in the
Gosh, I don't know if you should read it to your girls. One of them maybe decide to be an outlaw.
law. So the uncle's living in the basement. Grandma lives upstairs. And
Oh, we already have that. Don't worry about it. We already have that.
So grandma lives upstairs, and grandma is dealing with some health issues.
You already have
and
an
grandma
outlaw, so-
starts seeing ghosts, or a ghost, in this old home. And then there's the friend next door, Ferris's friend next door, and they're hanging out all summer and doing things. It's wonderful. It's so funny. So many funny things. And then at the end, it's just like, oh, yeah. So
Aww.
highly recommend. And the audio was fantastic.
Oh,
Just really well
right.
done. So, yeah. That's what I got.
very good.
Writing it down.
Yeah.
Oh, I should mention, I read 84 Charing Cross Road, which Amber mentioned last month, right? And I won't go into it because you just reviewed it last month, but go read this book, y'all. It's fun. Really great.
Yes, I'm getting ready to. It's on my short list for soon. Is to read The Duchess of Bloomsbury Street when she actually gets to go to England.
Oh,
So,
there's another one.
There's and then there's one after that too. So yeah, and they're all super little.
Great.
Okay. I will say, Dash, I do like the pictures only because I get from the library so much.
Yes.
And so I don't have anything to
I
show
got
you.
you.
Okay. I'll do my library book.
I put you on spot then.
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. We used to do it this way.
Mhm.
The Queens of Crime by Marie Benedict is a historical fiction novel involving the Queens of Crime. So we have Dorothy Sayers, Agatha Christie, Nio Marsh, Marguerite Allenheim, the Baroness Orczy.
Yeah.
I think that's all of them. And they attempt to solve a real murder. There's a real case. It's kind of cool because I listened to a podcast called She Done It. It's all about the golden age of detective fiction. And so she often brings up and tells the stories of real cases that Agatha Christie and others based their books on, or any book. And there was a case where a couple of nurses from England went to France for a day, and one of them was murdered. And so in real life, I think Dorothy Sayers and her husband went over there just to kind of maybe investigate, or he was a journalist. And so she takes that core and then she adds in Agatha Christie and the other ones, Nio Marsh, and the other ones, and they all go with her, and it's about them trying to solve this crime. And I really appreciated it because she doesn't solve the crime, because in real life it's never been solved. And so they don't solve it. And I just thought it was interesting, and it was really just good fun, and it was really cool just to have all of those queens of crime together. And I don't know, I loved it. I love those ladies. I love this historical fiction novel.
That sounds fun.
And I think it's book 2. I read book 2 in Gabriel Meyer's Timeless series. It's that time travel Christian fiction series that I love so much, where she lives, not really time travel, but she lives dual time periods. So one day it's 1920, and then the next day it's 2020, and then it's 1920, that kind of thing. Oh, I just made my Siri come on. I don't need anything. So in this book, because of how book one ended, the new child, because it's passed down through the families, is in 3 timelines. So we have 1861, 1941, and 2001. And in all of in 2001 she's in med school, or she's like in residency. And then in 1941 she's a nurse, and Pearl Harbor is getting ready to happen. And in 1861 the Civil War is going to happen, and they all take place in DC until the girl goes to Hawaii. And so it's really interesting. And in this one, because she can go to 3 time periods, she has until she's 25 to decide which time period she gets to go to. But in one of these, it was decided for her. So something happens and she dies, and I'm not going to tell you what timeline, but she dies in one of the timelines, which means that decision has been made for her. So that was really interesting to see her try to reconcile that option was taken away from her, and then her just mourning the people and friends that she loved in that timeline, that she never could prepare herself to say goodbye. I find it super interesting, the timeline that they always pick. And it's a romance too, so it's almost always going to be because of that. But just the reasonings that she gives for the timeline that she chooses to stay in, I think it's fascinating. Next month I'll tell you about book 3, which has been my favorite so far. That one, sneak peek, she ends up in Salem and during the witch trials, and so it's super interesting. These get better and better, and I'm so hard on Christian fiction. Sometimes I don't think it's well written, but these are really, really good. And it's not Christian fiction to where somebody's a preacher and you get a sermon. It's just they pray and they talk about God like they're talking about their cup of coffee or whatever. And I just and just the whole time travel or whatever kind of thing aspect of it is super interesting. So book 2 is called In This Moment.
Cool.
And you have to.
I'm going to take a guess and say it was. I'm going to take a guess and say it was Pearl Harbor.
Well, there's the Civil War, Pearl Harbor, and what happens in 2001, so 9/11. So there's 3 options there that in one of them. So, but I learned this time that the time period, the author's rule for herself is the last number of the year has to match. So we have 1861, 1941, and 01. So she challenges herself to find historical events in those years throughout history.
Wow.
That match. Yeah, it's so well done. It's just, I'm just really, really impressed. You do have to read them in order because the children are from, the book was from the child from the book before.
Gotcha. So cool. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I really love it. The next one from the library I don't want to screw this up. So I'm going to look it up on Goodreads. Impossible Creatures by Catherine Rundell. And this is, it's a hot new middle grade fantasy fiction. I think it's closer like upper middle grade, high school, all the rage, whatever. And so there's the real world, and this boy Christopher finds out that there is like a hidden lake, and in it is the last fantasy world to survive, and the whole world used to be fantasy. And so his grandfather's like the keeper of the map, and so he learns about this, and step happens, and before he's trained or learned about it, or before it's handed over, he has to go in and he has to help. Because all the animals are starting to die, right? Because of the fantasy world, something's wrong with it. It's dying. I don't even remember. Listen,
it's the nothing.
There's a lady I've been following for years. She had a blog and now Goodreads, and now she has a small business, and I value her insight. So she's just one of those people, like Dana, you're one of those people for me. If you say it's good, I'm going to read it. It's good. She gave it 5 stars, and I finished it, and I was like, did we read the same book? And in her review, she said, I gave it to my 14-year-old, and he just didn't have this reaction that I thought. And I'm like, I'm your 14-year-old, because it's not terrible. Like it's an adventure story. There's a lot of action. That was exciting. I felt like the violence was a little too over the top for the age range that they were trying. And I thought it was just mean, and I didn't find it. She said it reminded her of like Irish myths, and I don't know. I know Irish myth scholar, but I did not really like it. I think I gave it 3 stars because it's readable. Like you'll read it and it's not terrible. But so like the 4 and 5-star ratings are just so far ahead of the 3, and I don't know, man. Yeah. What? Speak.
That means I'm going to love it.
Probably. So then I will show you this lady's review and you guys can compare notes. I don't know. I just don't know if it, and I love middle grade and I like fantasy and I just thought it was maybe more.
You like romantasy.
I think she should have crossed a line and made it for teenagers. Maybe I was reading it within like, a 10-year-old's perspective, and maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I don't know. But it's like Barnes and Noble bestseller, and
wow,
I was disappointed. It's a bummer.
It is a bummer.
Okay. This one, Dana read this one too.
Bummer.
A Woman in the Polar Night by Christiane Ritter, the classic memoir of a year in the Arctic wilderness. So this woman in the mid 30s, she leaves, where are they from? Austria, Germany.
Yes.
And they live on the Arctic island of Spitsbergen, which is like north of Norway and or outside of like 1,000 miles from Norway or something. And they live for a year and hunting and just experiencing the year. And if you just want to read a nature memoir, her descriptions of what it's like to live on this polar island throughout the whole year, it's an entire year of seasons, is beautiful and it's captivating and you are enthralled and you can't put it down. And at no time did I ever want to go live on this island.
No.
Especially in 1934. But I was fascinated, just completely fascinated. There is a woman on Instagram who lives on this island today, her and her husband and their dog, and she documents it, and I can't think of her Instagram account right now. But it was fun to read and then go to her Instagram and see all the photos of what it actually looks like. But friends, this is beautiful. And if you love memoirs, I highly recommend this. Not very big. You get through it fast.
Yeah, definitely recommend. And don't you think the woman on Instagram?
So you wouldn't.
Her house or whatever it is that she lives in. In my mind, it's that book.
Yeah,
like it looks like that.
So she has her house where they live, but they also have an off-grid cabin. Have you seen those? So I feel like the off-grid
that's
cabin,
the one I'm talking about. The off-grid cabin.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah.
Okay, Dash.
So you wouldn't want to live there?
No.
I would go visit. Like I would Airbnb that.
There's such a delay with my stuff. I don't even know what's going on.
I know. So if you're trying to crack a joke, I can't hear it.
But yeah, I would go visit, but I do not want to live there. No.
Nope.
So Dash, my joke is that if you had been dependent on me to settle the West, I would have been the one sit back east, sucking her thumb in the corner of the wagon, because I would not have made it.
Oh, come on.
Would not have made it.
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. There's no trail that I'm going over.
Yep. Yeah. I always wondered that. Like when I watch 1883 or when I watch those 1923, when I watch those shows, the movies, the Western movies, I always wonder how I would really be then. Not, I could sit here and talk tough all day long now, but I really wonder what I would have, what I would be like, and if I would even made it. Like it's fun to imagine though. Trust me, it's fun to imagine.
Well, I don't know. I just listened to Little House in the Big Woods on audio, and I'm like, that's a cozy little cabin. I could have been Ma in the big woods. Once we get to the prairie and you want me to live in a hobbit hole, I don't know.
And when she's in the cabin, I forget which book it's in, but they've got a house and then the locusts come and they're coming in one window and they're crawling over Ma, who's sitting in a rocking chair, kind of catatonic, and back out the other window. I'm like, yeah, that would have been me right there. Catatonic as the bugs crawled right over me. So
no help to my man
No.
at all.
He'd have sent me back east. Go back to your family.
Mhm. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so I saved the best
I
for
mean,
last.
but
Sorry.
times are different, so you probably would have had to. Times are different, so you probably would have had to adapt. You would have either had to adapt to that, or not. And let me just go up what your husband just said, because I agree.
Is that a short joke, Eric? Are you saying because I'm vertically challenged?
Oh gosh.
Yes, that's exactly.
I mean, I like to think I'm stern stuff, but you never know. You never know. I mean, I always tell this story that Eric's got a survivor mentality, but he says he will not survive a zombie apocalypse because he'd be trying to save me and he'd get killed in the process. Like, I don't know.
I just like indoor plumbing a lot.
Serve it.
Hot baths.
Yes.
Survey says that's the number one answer. Survey says that's the number one answer. That's why he dies.
I know. Okay, so I saved the best for last, and it's
And
an
I feel
author
for you, Eric.
that
I feel for you.
we all like, William Kent Kruger's Ordinary Grace. I picked this for my In Real Life book club, and they all loved it, and I was so excited. So for those of you that don't know, it takes place in Minnesota in 1961, and this it's about a family. The dad's a preacher. The mom is not a fan of his dad being a preacher because he was going to be a lawyer until he went to war and his mind was changed. And so now she's not thrilled about it. They have a teenage daughter and two sons. And it's told mostly from the 13-year-old's perspective. It's a coming of age story about him reconciling. There's murders and accidental deaths. Suicide, all of that happening in town in that summer. So he has to reconcile all of these things with how it affects his family and his belief in God. And I thought it was beautiful. And I thought about it for days afterwards. And it's one of the greatest coming of age stories from a 13-year-old boy's perspective that I've ever read. So kind of has like a Stand By Me vibe. You know how the boys went out, to the track to go see the dead body, and this one is within the family unit. So he's a good kid. So, he obeys his dad for the most part and all that stuff. But also, 13-year-olds that's when you just start to see the world and where adults don't behave like you thought adults should behave. And, a death hits too close to home, so he has to reconcile that. And I could go on and on and on about Ordinary Grace. I highly recommend it. It's so far my favorite book of 2025. And all the ladies in my book club I'm the youngest member, and we're all it's my Catholic Church book club, and they all loved it. So
yeah, it's a great book. Love that book. Yeah. I think that was the first thing by him I ever read, and it's very different from his other books.
It's not, because it's not like the Cork O'Connor, which I will review that next month. This month I read book 1 in the Cork O'Connor, and it's different. And I think Kruger this is going to be a classic one day. I'm telling you, it's so good.
It is so good. Yeah.
Overall, I read 13 books, but I just thought these were the best 5. So.
Yeah. Cool.
What are we reading now, friends?
What are we reading now? I'm reading Pride and Prejudice immediately right now.
Yeah. I'm reading a middle grade book called Spineless. It's published new, but it takes place in the late 1800s. told from a little boy who has his perspective. He has asthma, so his mom takes him to a health resort in Florida, where the daughters of the owner of the hotel are very wealthy, and they just have shenanigans. And he wants to be like a naturalist. So I think Darwin was really big in this time period. So he's trying to be an explorer and a discoverer. And usually when you read books set in the Gilded Age, they're like New York City tenements or whatever. So this one's kind of refreshing that we're down in Florida. And I'm only about 5 chapters in, but so far so good. It's cute.
And somebody handed me this the other day to read. I haven't read this yet, but I'm going to get to it. Have you read The Wednesday Wars?
No, but I've heard about that.
Okay, so I loved that same author, and this picks up, I think, where The Wednesday Wars left off. So love The Wednesday Wars, and had recommended it to a family, and they read that and then picked up this one. And where The Wednesday Wars introduces a lot of Shakespeare, this one is centered around Audubon's book and has a lot of lovely illustrations, like from Audubon's, my thing wrong there. There we go. So anyway, this is next up, I think, but I haven't started it. So.
And Dana, Kate, there's a booktuber named Kate. Sorry, Dash, I'll let you talk. Kate Howe, and she just did a post on all of her favorite middle school books, and The Wednesday Wars, and that one showed up on that list. So.
There you go.
I could try not to. Oh, I'm reading. Is it my turn? I'm reading. Holmes is Missing, and I read the first one of the Holmes, Marple, and Poe mysteries by my favorite author of all time, James Patterson. But Holmes is Missing. I just started it last night. I haven't gotten too far into it because I was really tired, but I'm excited to start that one. And then up next after that, I have my Lorena wants me to read her American Yacht book that she had to read for history. I guess that was for her history class. So it's all about 18. It's basically American history 1860 to the 1910s, I think, if I remember right, 1860 to 1910s. So I'm going to read that one because it's got all the. Listen, that class for her even had me, because I was helping her out with it. That class even had me asking some serious questions about my own insanity and my own smarts. So it was pretty good, though. It was a pretty good book.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those college books. So we'll see how it goes. And that's all I'm reading.
Very cool.
Yep.
I cannot wait until the 30th when we discuss The Ogress and the Orphans. As a matter of fact, my husband cannot wait until we discuss it because he has gotten an earful. And so when I told him I had the show tonight, he goes, "Oh, is it on that book?" And I was like, "No, not yet. It's on the 30th.
Have it right here.
Have you read it?
Mm-hmm.
It's right here.
I'm curious to see if it's just me.
I doubt it.
I have a different cover than you guys.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't. I haven't even cracked into it. So yeah.
Well, you're in for a treat, buddy.
I haven't cracked into it, so we'll see how it goes.
Take notes, Dash.
Take
Am
notes.
I gonna hate this?
Let's get ready.
Yeah. When was yours printed, Amber? I'm wondering about the cover.
So yeah, well, that's what
I bought mine, I think, last year. I bought it at Barnes and Noble. It's still got my Barnes and Noble sticker on it.
Huh.
I don't know.
mine's a first edition. So
is when this one was published.
This is 2022.
Okay, so this is the paperback one.
Oh, okay, yeah, this is a
Yeah.
hardcover. Maybe that makes the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I got the hardcover.
It'll be an interesting discussion.
Well,
I will just say, don't hold the girl who drank the moon against me for loving that one. Anyway, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a rollicking good
that
I have so many notes.
I already know where this is going. I already know where this is going.
I have so many notes.
Oh, I
Okay.
already know where this is going.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks, because I'm going out of town this week and I won't have time to. I'm leaving town Saturday. I won't have time to film.
Yeah.
So.
All right, no worries, no worries. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. We'll be back on the 30th to discuss Ogress and the Orphans. Apparently, I'm going to hate it, so I'll just no. I'm just kidding.
Might not.
But
love
I, know,
Okay.
I don't know. Is there a guy with a sword that kills ogres? That's all I want to know.
Not exactly.
There's a guy.
Okay.
Anyway.
Anyway. All right. Well, we'll
Stephen
be back
King
on
has
the
nothing
30th
on
for
Kelly
that.
Barnhill. That's all I gotta say.
Oh wow. So I am curious to hear about this this podcast that talked about the stand. So we'll discuss that offline.
Yeah, it was book
and,
reviews kill. Don't you follow him on Instagram? Book reviews kill.
Yeah, but
It's
not.
two
He's not.
men. It's
I
not-
don't always take everything he says. I don't. Yeah.
No, I'm just telling you.
I don't always
it
take
wasn't
everything
like
he
two-
says as a great.
It's not like it's two chicks sitting around talking about the stand. It was two guys who read
Oh
horror.
no!
So okay.
Listen, I know two chicks. I know two chicks that read well and talk about horror, and they're very good. So it has nothing to do with gender.
Okay.
It's no. I mean, he has some weird takes sometimes. I will just say that about him.
Yeah.
He definitely has some.
Anyway,
weird
it's
takes.
more honestly, it's more the page number of the stand that threw me off, because I know that you really don't care about my other reading habits, but in my other group, I'm reading Jane Austen, Charles Dickens, and War and Peace, and I just could not. I just can't do it, buddy. I'm so sorry. So you picked the
That's
one
okay.
Stephen King
That's
book
all
I
right.
have read, and whatever. Okay.
That's all right. I mean, not everybody can multitask and be awesome like me. So it's totally okay. I understand it.
No, you know what? I'm going to give you my reading list for August, and let's see how you go.
For that,
Yes,
we're
I know
make
you
read
have
The
like
Ogress and the
47
Orphans.
different book readings. So
We're going to make you read what?
The Ogress and the Orphans.
It's not going to take
No,
you
I
long
totally
to
understand.
figure it
I
out.
get it.
So, okay.
All right. Well, we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Enjoy your vacation. And hopefully you're not going anywhere where there's bad weather or anything of that nature.
I'm going to
So,
Northwest
if you do,
Arkansas.
please be careful.
So, I'm going to the mountains. Hopefully,
Oh.
it's nice.
Good. Enjoy.
We stayed in a tree house up there in that area. So
I'm gonna stay at my cousin's house. I'm just going to see my cousin. It's just me. No, nobody else is going. My cousin lives in
Yeah.
Fayetteville.
well, enjoy.
I will.
And Miss Dana, you be safe out there in North Kakalaki.
Virginia.
And just,
Will do.
And then 6 year
North
delay.
Kakalaki, Virginia. It's all the same. I can't. I don't know how. I seriously, I have been working on this for 3 weeks and I don't know how. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a couple weeks and enjoy. And like I said, North Kakalaki, Virginia, it's all the same. And
I would write
y'all
him a
enjoy,
strongly
and we'll
worded
see you
letter.
guys on the next show.
All right. Bye.
Bye.